People and How They Interact by Tong and Eduardo. Our learning objective. So our learning objective for this project is that by the end of the project, you should have an idea about both the physiology and the anatomy of the endocrine and nervous systems, the characteristics of interpersonal intelligence, and forms of developing your interpersonal intelligence. Also, by the end of this presentation, you should be able to teach someone else about it, not in detail, but the overall idea about the topic. We hope this helps you develop your interpersonal skills even further and your knowledge on the topic. 4 different types of intelligence. Me and Tong have chosen 4 random different types of intelligence. They are: first, logical intelligence. Logical intelligence is the ability to look at problems or situations from the logical and mathematical point of view. This theory about logical intelligence was developed and proposed in 1983 by Dr. Howard Gardner. Then, interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence is the topic that you'll be learning more about throughout this presentation. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability of a person to interact or relate well to others, and the ability of someone to maintain a healthy and positive relationship. This theory was also developed and proposed in 1983 by Dr. Howard Gardner, along with 7 others, including logical intelligence above. Linguistic intelligence. Linguistic intelligence is the ability to understand and use speech and written language. This includes expressing yourself through talking or writing. This is one of Dr. Gardner's 8 types of intelligences that was proposed in 1983. Last but not least, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, also known as EQ, is the ability to understand, use, and manage all of your emotions in a positive manner. This theory was not proposed by Dr. Howard Gardner. This theory was proposed by 2 psychologists, Peter Salovey and John D. Meyer, 7 years later in 1990.
Neurological/physiological approach. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability for a person to interact and understand other people, and that is mainly controlled by these parts of the nervous system and the endocrine system, most of which are in the brain. The brainstem. This part of the brain controls homeostasis of heart rate, breathing, hunger, and rest, as well as our fight, flight, freeze, faint responses to perceived threats. Hippocampus. This controls explicit and declarative memory and starts developing at around 18 months of age. Amygdala. This processes decisions and emotional responses. Prefrontal cortex. This area of the brain is responsible for abstract thoughts, reasoning/thinking, planning ahead, and self-awareness. And last but not least, the hypothalamus. And this gland located in your brain controls the mood and stress in your body. And this is a diagram of all these parts of the brain. And some of the essential interpersonal functions controlled by these parts of the brain are body regulation, attuned communication, emotional balance, response flexibility, fear control, caring towards others, insights, moral awareness, and intuition. And also a side note, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the hypothalamus mentioned in the previous slide are all part of the limbic system.
Characteristics of an interpersonal person. First, an interpersonal person can communicate well verbally, But they can also communicate well non-verbally, which means using signs but not using your voice. They can empathize with others and see things from a different perspective. They're open-minded, they're open to new ideas. They can create positive and healthy relationship with others, and they can bond with different types of people. They have many different interests.
Ways to help improve interpersonal skills. To improve your interpersonal skills, you will need to improve your social sensitivity, social influence, and interpersonal work skills, which are highlighted in blue, green, and brown, respectively. These are some ways to help develop these skills. Throw a party and invite people you don't know well of, or decide to meet one new person every day or week. Become a volunteer or join a service oriented group. You could take a leadership role at work or in the community, or last but not least, start conversations with strangers in public. These all help improve interpersonal skills because they all require you to feel more comfortable around people and recognize each other's feeling easier.
Compatible jobs for an interpersonal person. So, a compatible job for an interpersonal person would be a job where it requires mostly the skills of an interpersonal person. So, they need to be persuasive, they need to know how to communicate well, both verbally and non verbally. They should be able to empathize and these things that were mentioned before. So, some of these jobs are teacher, a politician, counselor, a salesperson, philosopher, psychologist, and lawyer. These are all good jobs and they all require interpersonal skills. Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi's full name is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He has four children. He was born in 1869, a very long time ago, and died in 1948. So, Mahatma Gandhi was an Indian lawyer. He's a great example of an interpersonal person. He has all of the skills required. He knows how to communicate well verbally. He can empathize. He has all of those skills mentioned before. Mahatma inspired civil rights and freedom movements all over the world, not only in India, his home country, but he was a well-known figure all over the world. He was so famous to a point where he created an autobiography. His autobiography's name was An Autobiography, colon, The Story of My Experiments with Truth. Gandhi has many different famous quotes. Three of my favorite Gandhi quotes are: happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. An eye for an eye only ends up making the whole world blind, and in a gentle way, you can shake the world.
Myths and fun facts. Here are some myths and fun facts about interpersonal intelligence. The first two are myths, and the last three are fun facts. So, people with great communication are not born like that. So, contrary to popular belief, great and effective communicators are made, not born. And people who are good at talking aren't always good at public speaking. Just because you're good at talking doesn't mean you can't benefit from practicing speaking principles. One of them is like the use of pauses. And on to our first fun fact. A study shows that 75% of employers are placing more emphasis on verbal communication skills as a hiring prerequisite. And another study showed that 45% of employees surveyed encountered confusing messages at least once per day. Moreover, 35% of employees surveyed say that they deal with miscommunication 3 or more times a day. So miscommunication is a huge problem during work.
References. So to gather all of this information and make this presentation possible, we had to gather lots of information from different well-known and credible resources, such as the Cleveland Clinic. Last but not least, we thank you for watching and we hope you have achieved our learning objective. We hope that we have helped you develop your interpersonal skills even further and develop your knowledge about the topic even more. Again, thank you for watching and we hope you have a nice day.
See you guys next time.